Hello, Upload podcast listeners. It's Midgeman here to say sorry at the top of the episode, mainly because this episode features some rather sketchy audio from yours truly and a very sick Lionheart. If you're a follower of Lionheart's, you will know that he is suffering right now, so he sounds rough in this episode, and I sound rougher because beforehand my audio absolutely died. So I was using a temporary fix to get this done. That being said, it's a great episode with a great interviewee, and I hope you all enjoy it. Now, on with the podcast.
Hello and welcome to Upload,
A podcast by those who upload, for those who want to,
or who already do.
and anyone else for that matter.
My name is Lionheart and I've been creating content for over a decade.
And my name's Midgeman, and I've been trying to create content for almost a decade.
Together with some of our friends and fellow content creators, we're going to be exploring the great big world of content creation.
We'll be looking into the serious topics that face content creators today.
Because if someone said that to me like in person, or said that kind of stuff to me, you know, IRL, I wouldn't take it. So why would I take it like online? Why would I hide aspects of sort of my identity?
As well as some less serious topics.
I've been blindsided by the fact that one of your old live streams is called Suck My Missile for like the last
Sorry,
10
what?
minutes.
So sit back, relax, and enjoy another episode of Upload. Welcome to Upload, the content creator podcast for those who upload, for those who want to, and everyone in between. I'm Lionheart.
Oh, and I'm Midgeman.
And before we get into today's episode, remember to like, subscribe, review, rate, and turn on any auto downloaders on whatever platform you're coming to us from. You can also reach out to the podcast either in the YouTube comment section or via our email, hello@uploadpodcast.co.uk.
This week's episode, I missed the episode from my script there, so my brain just short-circuited.
The thing we're doing this week.
Yes, this week's episode features a special guest. Hailing from across the little pond, he masquerades as a technical support engineer for GitHub, but more importantly, he is the founder and CEO of the creator-focused link in bio service doras.to. Tommy, aka Tommy Lundy, welcome to the show.
Hey, yeah, thanks for having me.
We will get on to talking about Doras properly and all of the awesome stuff that you guys are doing, and also more onto some creative focused stuff. But we were all discussing before this some relatively big-ish news and also a little bit of a foobar by certain companies has occurred on today, the recording, that we kind of need to cover. It might have all flipped from what's happening right now, you know, in future when this podcast actually releases, because it'll be a couple of weeks from now. So Adobe just did a thing, and I like it. Yeah, I mean, they as they do. So Lionheart, I don't know if you've been aware of this, but
I'm just like panic searching
fine.
through Twitter to be like, what
Dan
the...
is bringing it up, and I will give you the long and short.
Everything's on fire.
So, Adobe has updated its terms of service to basically say that if you open a document in Adobe, they have perpetual rights to it and the ability to resell it and use it to train their AI and all sorts of things. The main thing here, like under deeper reading, what the articles aren't really saying is that it seems to be focused around their cloud documentation. But the big thing for me that was the red flag was that includes anything that you're working on that might be under NDA.
Oh.
So they are
They
trying
just have
to...
a free in then, don't they? To be like, oh, yeah, we can find out what
Yeah, so it's one of those things of it's blowing up because it's, one, amounting to spyware, but also, two, like, it means that they can also use it. They're also saying that they can just take things that you're creating and use in their advertisement, take it to their own market and resell it and stuff. And it's all, I feel like it's one of those things of they've taken a generic legal script, meaning to say that they are allowed to train their AI on their cloud documentation. And then it's actually encompassed a lot more things.
Do you know what's great about it? You can't sign in to even cancel your subscription without accepting the new terms and conditions. So even if you want out because of this, you still have to accept them before you can even get out. So you're literally locked into this.
I think being pushed live like everywhere now.
I think it's like doing one of those slow rollouts.
I've got Premiere open in the background. I'm like, I didn't have to click anything. It just opened this morning. I'm like,
it's currently targeting Photoshop and one of the like 3D modeling softwares, I think. It hasn't actually applied to Premiere yet. But the biggest thing for me as well, they're shooting themselves in the foot because it's specifically targeting like their cloud saves and their share for review product, which they've just launched. So it means things have access, to make their share for the review product work, but is also hamstringing it because no one's going to want to share for review anymore.
Yeah.
Because there are ways like you can accept it and then you can actually go into your settings to say, I don't want this to be read for AI. I don't want this to be deleted. So you can actually like do some redefines.
Surely
you've got through
this sort of thing should be one of those things where it's an opt-in if you want them taking advantage of those features. Surely the broad messaging at its core is, hey, we want to make our AI stuff more useful to you, more relevant, more accurate. And in order to do that, we need you to give us permission to sample some of the stuff you're working on so that we can train it on various bits, which broadly speaking, everyone's like, well, yeah, if we, especially with the way they have implemented some useful AI tools in their software, you're like, yeah, if I can help make you a bit, but I still want to choose which bits I'm letting you sample from because, hey, this super secret project that is, maybe not just a personal thing that I'm working on, but maybe part of my, work or company that is a multi-million-dollar deal or something like that. Or I think I saw something briefly on Twitter, something about someone working within a movie studio or something was like, hey, yeah, there's no freaking way I'm letting you in on this because you can't know. Like, no, this is in-house studio secret stuff that is not, this is storyboards, artboards and everything else that's going along with it. You can't see that. Like, sorry. Oh, yeah. By the way, Adobe, you're invited now to all of our preview screenings as well, because you might as well come and see it. Like, no. Do you ultimately think it's poorly worded, updated terms of service, or do you think it is them trying to sneak something in?
I think column A, column B. Like, I think they approved it, knowing that the poorly worded legal gave them a bit more carte blanche, but they weren't expecting as big a reaction and people to read the terms of service. But I think that's the biggest takeaway. Everybody, read the terms of service that you accept.
Every game you've ever installed, remember to read all those EULAs, yeah?
But it is also very, very similar to all the stuff that went down with, I think it was Multiverses recently, wasn't it? Or is one game of those are basically like early access reviewers, they weren't allowed to have like a negative review.
Oh.
And it's almost just like these little things that they just sneak in here, hoping that no one finds them. And all it takes is just one dude on Twitter. And the next thing you know, it's all over. I don't think it was Multiverses. Please do not quote me on that. But there was some game in the last week or two that's had all this.
Oh, they specifically said you couldn't do negative reviews in the embargo contract.
I can't remember what game it was, but I remember seeing some stuff about that, yeah.
The company, they walk back on it and just like, yeah, don't know how that kind of made it in there or whatever, sorry, and it got removed. But at the same time, it's just like, if that got left in there, if no one actually read this thing, even if it means copy pasting an entire terms of service, give it to ChatGPT and just be like, break this down to me like I'm 5, even doing something like that is just something that we need to start doing now. Do you know what I mean? Instead of just trusting these companies that they have our best interest, when like most of the time they don't.
They don't, no. Yeah.
No.
Speaking, though, of a company that kind of does have our best interest at heart, especially as creators, look at that segue. Tommy, can you just explain to people that, I know we've already spoken about it on the podcast before, that episode will already be out, my apparent love for this service, this piece of utter like common sense brilliance that DORAS is in regards of what it does for the industry. Can you just give people, the sell, the what the user experience is there and stuff?
Yeah, so as a content creator myself, I always hated using things like Linktree, beacons, all those kind of stuff. They lock a lot of just basic stuff behind paywalls, everything like that. And literally our entire mission was just, let's just break down all those paywalls. If there's a reason that you need to pay the $3, I think it is, for DORAS Pro, it's because it actually costs us money to provide that. So we're literally just splitting that. It's a link in bio. It can be your short links. It can be absolutely anything.
You take the link in bio service to like a little bit of a next level. You focus on the fact that like, hey, it's pretty much like all the basics that everyone else charges for, you can just do. And if you want special things, for example, I put mine on my own domain, that comes behind a pro subscription, but it's also, cheaper than getting my McDonald's delivered. Like that's kind of
that's just the delivery fee. You're not even getting any food for that.
That's what I'm saying. I also took advantage of Andy Lippy's code when we came in, who is another content creator who has worked quite closely with you guys into like concepting certain stuff. That's actually just a little shout out as well for the podcast. Andy Lippy does like a lot of stream asset, stream plugin, like generation and like review content, that kind of thing, and looking at like improving the creator experience. So if you are a content creator, go check him out as well. His stuff is very, very technically good. Let's jump onto some of these questions. So like, I know that you're currently developing a version 2 of DORAS. You're trying to improve the platform. That's like somewhere in the horizon. Like you're redoing the actual main backbone of the website to improve the user experience, etc. Do you have one of those things in mind, like that is the point that I think this service will be great and I'm happy with it? Or is it like one of those, are you still finding the roots of that?
I honestly don't think we have something like that in mind. Something that we really like about ourselves is that obviously, a link in bio is not something that you're going to be logging into once a week or even once a month, maybe, And think about when you go onto a link tree. Linktree has the exact same stuff that I had 5 years ago. It looks the exact same. It functions the exact same. Nothing new has kind of come. Where we like it is that when a user does sign back in, they have to update some links or something like that. It's like, that's new. Oh, that's really cool. Oh, yeah. And then just kind of just run from there. So it's literally just taking what people ask for and then just building it. I think you even experienced that firsthand on the stream the other week, where it's just like, oh, I wonder how hard it would be to get like a Podbean block to get up. And yeah, we just like built it for you in like an hour live on stream. That's where all our power comes from.
You have a huge sense of like kind of community with how you're building this product. And like, it's been things of my first experience. I think I've already mentioned it on the podcast, but my first experience with DORAS was like, I was having an issue. I came on, it was like suddenly like I was like surrounded by 3 or 4 people trying to help, and it was fixed within 10 minutes. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to fix everything within 10 minutes. It was like one of those things of, I'm not just someone coming with an issue. I'm someone that needed help, if that makes sense. I need to calm down because like it's one of those things as a service that I'm really enjoying using.
I'm waiting for the camera pan to your Shrine of Doras wall that's on the other side. You've got the really fancy acoustic panels behind you, but there's actually a full-on shrine.
Yeah,
T-shirts, there's the daily sacrifice.
Cardboard cutout of Tommy is just like there. It's like, it's
you not got the full 3D print yet? Oh, is that
No,
on
I
order?
don't have a 3D printer. That's the problem. So it's having to come in like that's the thing. What's your creative process for actually going and without someone like me saying, hey, I'd like this, like what's your creative process in sort of developing for DORAS, like getting a new feature?
Yeah, like it's literally just me or anybody really just like coming across a roadblock, and it's just, okay, well then how can we build something to overcome this roadblock? So like how DORAS even started was really weird. How DORAS actually started, it was a YouTube live stream and extension to basically bring channel points that you have on like the Twitch live streams over to YouTube live streams. And then at one point we were like, oh, but like Twitch has this really cool thing where you can like post like your social links like underneath like in by like your name and stuff like that on Twitch. It's like YouTube doesn't have that. It has it on the channel but not on a live stream. So what if we built just like this really basic link in bio tool and then it just added it onto the YouTube stream with the extension? And I was like, this link in bio thing is actually quite cool. And then it just escalated and it rolled and rolled and rolled. And that was about 2 years ago. Now, DORAS only came out in February because, we take, like, back when we done, that was the first web development we ever done. How me and my co-founder started was we were actually developers for GTA 5 roleplay servers. So we didn't have any web development experience at all. It was just, I was just streaming on YouTube. And yeah, so the TLDR is that like I or someone else comes across a problem. I go to try find a solution, realize all the solutions are either just really bad or just lock a lot of stuff behind paywalls. And I'm just like, I guess I'm building it. So
I'm glad that you've found that ability to go in and build something, because I'm one of those things of I found there's not an option and I go, well, that's I'm gonna have to kill that dream. I don't know how to build things. So yeah, you've been going since February. There's a lot of your features are still in pre-alpha, but I know that you guys work very closely with other content creators to like direct some of the stuff and come up with things. I know that there's whispers of things of like direct Twitch and OBS integration for like those links being put into chat. Like, could you talk through some of those like secret plans if you're comfortable with it?
Basically, a big thing for us was to open up an API for DORAS. So let's say for example, you like create a new social, or you like have to like update a username on something. You have to like update your stream elements, you update your link in bio, you update all these different things now. And that's just a pain, right? So literally what we've done now, I don't know how familiar you are with StreamerBot, but it's very popular tool for streamers to, if you watch Andy Lippy and all those wild animations and stuff that goes on, it's literally what controls that. Really cool guys who built it. Basically, you can now just take a URL from DORAS, put it in there, and then every X amount of minutes that you want, it will just take a random link from your DORAS profile and just post it in your chat. Just go, hey, check out this link. Hey, check out that link. What Andy is working on, he's basically building like a lower third widget. So what we had to do to help with that was basically open up our API even more, take all these icons, convert them into images. So the images and whatever the button says will just automatically be rolled onto this lower.
The fact that that's integrated in is going to take all that information and just kind of organically just fire that out into the stream, into the chat, into the widgets and what have you, automatically just takes so much hassle out of streaming, but also importantly gets those links out there, because otherwise as a streamer you'll forget to do it, or you'll spend too much time on that, and then people are like, is he gonna play a game today, or is he just gonna talk about all these? And it's just about finding useful ways to automate various processes, but also, as you say, like finding ways that don't require creators to jump through multiple different sites or hoops and stuff, having one centralized place for that then natively kind of easily fits in with everything else. And I think kind of doing that from the kind of perspective of being creators yourselves, you've got your finger on the pulse of what you guys would want, but also just like I think it's fairly easy to kind of tap into. And I see it every time Midge brings up DORAS, like there's so much like passion behind that, because I can see how enthusiastic he is to have finally found a platform, product, whatever, that just works and does those things natively and intuitively without being like, oh, I can do this, but I've got to do this, this, and this, and this. And it gets too much. And then, I really need to set one up, because I've looked at all the competitors over the years and I've gone, oh yeah, but I can do that on that one, but I can't do this. And I can't do that. So I end up needing, so I need 3 to get all the things. And then I've been looking at how Midge has been building up his, and I'm like, oh, he's got everything all together neatly, and it all auto updates nicely with what you got set up there. You got the stream integrations and everything else. And when you guys are talking about new features that you're bringing in, it's all stuff right at the top of pretty much I think every creator's list of like, what do you want that makes the most sense to just support creators even further, with kind of allowing them to do what they're already doing, just with minimal workload, minimal change, and just making it way easier. It just sounds perfect, to be honest.
Making it even easier is something, it's really the big thing that we're pushing with the V2 we're calling, but realistically it's just beta version. What we're on right now is, I'm happy to call that an alpha, because there's definitely some jank, and there's definitely some problems. It can be slow sometimes.
I'm the king of finding broken things and annoying Tommy about it as well.
Yeah, and when you do it, I'm just like, that's fixed in the new version, but the new version isn't live yet. Now, to be fair, hopefully by the time that this comes out, the new version will be out. But basically, just streamlining everything and making it a whole lot simpler. Like there's a lot of things that I can admit is that, like, on mobile, the current website is not great. It's really hard to manage certain things. Literally what we've done for V2 is we deleted every single line of code and we just started again. All the database is all there. We still have everyone's stuff. We literally just built from the ground up all over again. During the development process of like the initial release, this isn't going to make sense to a lot of people, and I don't want to get too jargony, but basically we were like moving from like all different solutions and different, even just like coding languages and frameworks, until we finally settled on where we were. And what we ended up with was just not great code. It just got very hard to handle. So let's delete it all. Let's build it again. We know what we want now, and let's build it. And literally what we've built is the most simplest website builder. You drag and drop whatever you want it to be, and you just put in whatever data you want. Even now with the MediaKit stuff, which I know is really important to a lot of content creators, is that before we were literally just web scraping. So you literally just put in like your channel ID or like a username on a platform, and it would just only really just scrape like the follower count or subscriber counts. Whereas now we actually allow you to like sign into YouTube, sign into Twitch, get all this data, and there it is just on your link in bio. And we're now even building ways for you to be able to just export all that data into a PDF to just attach to your own, let's say if you have already like your own media kit. And the thing I love about it is just that it feels native. You know, sometimes when you go to a website, you see that little install button on your phone to like add it to your home screen or whatever like that. We've literally built one of those with this. We don't want to put it on like the Play Store or App Store or anything like that because the 30% fees and filing out all this crap. No, it's a website. It's not an app, right? Just streamlining and just making it as user-friendly as absolutely possible has just been like the highest priority.
I think you touched on something really nice there in the fact that you're not really building this as a link in bio service. That's like the key core like aspect of it, but it really is just a quicker way for creators who might not be as technically brilliant or might not have coding experience or the capital to, say, fund the generation of a website, can go in, create something customized that's good to them and also improves their quality of life as a creator eventually by the time the media kits and stuff have been redone and stuff, you get those exports, etc. coming out. Like, it becomes a tool not only for them to, hub their community, have all those links in one place in a custom, like with me, I've got it on a custom domain. I've had a website for years that just has not had content on it because I don't have the time, the capital to make it look something really good. But this is like utilizing my initial skills of, okay, I know how to Photoshop something. I can put up an image and turn that into a button. And then, you're taking those, the media kit elements of it and allowing creators to be able to, if not entirely create a media kit, at least get a lot of the data sets all in one place rather than having to go to every single site, getting all of that data, amalgamating it, and just loads of quality of life features.
Feels like it's the kind of ultimate like Swiss Army knife, like for creators. It's got all the different tools on there, all the different integrations, and if it doesn't, oh look, they just added a new tool onto it. There you go. And it's just, keeps it all in one place. And I think as well, like moving on to kind of integrating and giving options for media kits, I feel like that's kind of like the next big thing that like YouTube and Twitch are, well, especially YouTube are pushing towards, because they've now got their own kind of stuff that you can generate a basic media kit of kind of kicking out some useful analytics. So I kind of feel like that's where similar products are going to try and go, or that's going to be where they'll want to look to develop to, because it's now even more so for creators. It's so important to be able to easily share your media kits with potential sponsors, partnerships, or even just outreach for game codes or whatever you're trying to do. Having that all in one easy to access place, rather than being like, oh yes, I've got these stats from over here and this stuff from over there. And most of the time you'll probably get some feedback saying, maybe condense that into a media kit, and then you're like, oh, I'll do that, but who has the time to really set one up? Or if you do, it doesn't look that good. I guess comparable to something that can produce you a really nice tailor-made CV almost for like a job or something, right? I mean, that's what you're doing when you send out a media kit for something. You're doing it to get a job of some kind of contract, sponsorship or whatever, some kind of networking and relationship. So any tool, I kind of feel like that is the kind of the next big thing for helping creators really own their data, is saying, well, look, here's a tool that will help you present that in the best possible way so that you don't miss out on any potential opportunities. Or in some cases, this will generate your opportunities, because, when we had Havoc on the podcast and he was talking about, what their criteria is for looking at creators and things like that. Obviously, the biggest thing is finding out where your ruddy email address is so they can actually contact you. But, if you can make it easier so that in the nicest way possible, they don't have to watch loads and loads of your content to kind of figure out if you're the right fit. If you've already got those stats and then they're like, okay, well, we'll just check like personality wise, we'll have a quick little look at some of their content. If you've already got that built in with some key clips or highlights or best moments or examples of previous sponsored content and things like that, along with all the stats that back it all up, they're like, oh, this is great. And then I kind of wonder if maybe it's something for you guys would that be then a tool or an opportunity for you guys to go to various brands and companies and say, look, we've got this tool that makes it easier for our creators to connect with you. Why not let's make it easier for you to connect with them the other way around by utilizing what we've started building here?
Absolutely. And one member of the community actually about a month or two ago raised actually something quite similar to that, is that if there is a way for brands to search for specific users, so users can like apply specific tags to their profiles, for example, you know, it's like, I'm like this, that, and the other thing. And then for a way then for brands to be able to search and go through those, get a list then of all potential users who match that criteria in some way, shape, or form, just to be able to then find their profile.
That's massively going to help them tailor their campaign list for when they're looking for stuff, because they can pop in 3 or 4 keywords that are relevant to their campaign and then be like, right, we've taken a short list from thousands to, you know, there's say like 50 that hit the criteria, and we can then start sifting through that. And oh, look, they've got this MediaKit integration as well, and it's showing us all the stats that are relevant and everything else.
Yeah, and it's one of those things of, I think the more like that DORAS can do, or products like this can do, just the better. Because one of the things as well about, say, Twitch, I'm gonna talk Twitch a little bit now, which is, and they are making some moves to improve it.
Talking Twitch segment.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But one of the things that Twitch has always struggled with. So apparently I just like triggered Lionheart's illness because maybe his illness is tied to Twitch shares or something. But
I wish I had Twitch shares.
Or do you? But anyway, Twitch has always struggled with searchability when you're not live and growing your audience while you're not live. They're trying to rectify that with its new Clips tab and its Clips searching engine. But one of those things that Twitch has like 100% always struggled with is, you know, being found when you're not live. But I think elements such as DORAS can be one of those things that helps your Twitch grow, for example. So if you've got, you know, I think the way I explained it, and I think I've spoken to you about this, Tom, as well, is like people have no attention spans. So you want to make it so that people, when they click a link, no matter what app it is, whether it's YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, any of those, that they have the quickest amount of steps of getting to where they wanted to go, or they're greeted by something that also traps them in. And that's, I think, one of the things that like DORAS is nice about, because it looks good. You can make it look really good relatively simply, unlike every other link tree where it's, oh, I can have a gradient background. It allows you to, one, highlight things like where you want. Like, I love the fact that you can integrate your Twitch stream. So if you're live right then, your Twitch stream is playing it. It can be at the top of your list, like, and then it hides when you're not. I'm focusing on Twitch because one of those things of Twitch struggles to grow as a platform when you're not live. Helping creators get over the fact that, you know, they can't grow when they're not on by making something that looks attractive. It's not going to work all the time, but it's definitely going to be one of those things that helps. Making their profile searchable like that, featuring profiles. I know that you guys have a huge thing about featuring profiles a little bit on your front page when you're like, yeah, look at this guy. This is our community spotlight, because there's a big old community feeling with DORAS. But like Lionheart was saying, allowing people to be able to like search and go, are you right for my campaign? Broadcasting people's achievements more. It would just be icing on the cake for a lot of creators who, let's face it, the majority of people who are creators who haven't made it need to be found to take some of that stress away from being live all the time to try and grow. We
don't want to get in the way of that. Like, I know there's a lot of MediaKit providers, and on them there's like the input box. So, you know, like, oh, send this creator a message or anything like that. It's like, when you're doing stuff like that, you've now just created a middleman. Whereas whoever now owns that media kit, as in whatever like company you use to create that media kit, they kind of now have access to this too. We want to help you and we want to help brands, but like, as long as you two, like, you know, found each other, like, I think the most important thing that we always try to stress, and you actually mentioned it there as well, is just that, like, you know, it's the very community aspect of it. We're literally just a bunch of mates who are just building something for people because we wanted it in the first place. When you compare that to some of these wild things and like accepting these like cookie policies, we don't even have a cookie policy. We literally don't use any other cookie other than the fact your token to log in.
You're focused on getting creators to that destination rather than worrying about if the journey is directly like through you guys, as long as they get to that end point.
As long as you were successful and we helped you get there, we don't care. Whereas if you like look at other platforms and like, you know, God knows what they're doing with your data. No, they're selling to XYZ, everything like that. You literally just don't know where it is.
Thing to highlight with what you guys are doing as well, there is no journey though, because it's all presented. The destination is the journey, because there isn't any. It's all nicely presented with wherever you want to go, and you know, it's instant. It's, you click it and you're there. Or even if you're live and they come onto your page, you're already live. You're already there, and from that, they can then navigate to the satellite areas where you've got other bits of content, where you're active on other socials. It's perfect.
This episode of Upload is sponsored by DORAS.
It's called DORAS.
Whilst it's spelt like a certain explorer, it's Irish, so naturally it sounds nothing like it's spelt. But like our little amigo, it does allow for exploration. A journey of discovery, if you will. A pathway that journeymen of the internet such as your prospective audience can walk down to find you. You are the pot of gold at the end of the DORAS rainbow, and I am your leprechaun. DORAS is a free-form link in bio builder that allows you the creative control to share your brand your way. And unlike other link in bio services, it offers so much more. So much more. You're not limited to the one page. You can make multiple pages. You can directly integrate your social media accounts to create a nice little media kit. You can embed Spotify players to host things such as podcasts, like the amazing Upload podcast that you are listening to. DORAS
Midge, it's called DORAS.
is in alpha right now and already trounces, obliterates, knocks out of the park, defenestrates every other link in bio service that I have used. I even stopped using my website because my DORAS had everything I could wish for. You can join DORAS today and support Upload by following the link on our DORAS page and signing up to DORAS Pro. We get a little kickback, a little something, a greased palm, if you will, that I, Midgeman, will go and happily spend on creating more DORAS Pro accounts. It's an addiction and I cannot be stopped, but go give DORAS a try. It's free. You don't even need to be a creator, just someone with something to share. Anyway, back to the rest of the show where I will continue to explore my addiction in a healthy manner.
We normally do a segment when we have content creators, like directly people that we're asking about content creation on, where we go through their net worth and stuff. It doesn't really work for DORAS. So I've come up with a slightly different section. I'm actually going to turn to you a little bit, Lionheart, as well with this. I'm going to just say, if DORAS could provide you with a service, what would that service be? Like, what would be the nifty thing? Well, just some workshop. And also, it doesn't have to be tied to DORAS as well. What is the thing for you missing as a creator that a developer could solve for you? Let's just workshop where you think the gap in the market is.
I think I brought it up when I'm talking about the media kit, having that all just able to kind of auto-generate that updated media report, you know, whether you could have options of saying, hey, I want the last 28 days, last 90, like the last quarter, or even just a year, you know, almost like you know, like you have the Twitch recap. I'd love like a media kit recap to show, here's everyone I've, like, if you could input some of the data of like, here's who I've worked with, or here's some of my highest viewed streams, highest viewed videos, or something like that, where it links in all those. And I guess if you had that connection for brands to utilize tags and stuff through DORAS, to then maybe you could include some stuff from that to say, hey, DORAS helped, you know, 17 campaigns throughout the channel, these ones or whatever. Just I think as I said, I think that's probably the thing in my mind that I really, something I did at the start of the year was actually put together my first proper media kit, and I spent ages in Photoshop doing all the elements and the graphics and stuff, and trawled through like 3 or 4 different sites to get all my social stats. Something that would do that and also give you the ability to make it look nice and present it really nicely as well, built in, that isn't, you know, 4 or 5 links buried somewhere. That's just quite a natural bit, that because I would probably put media kit right at the top of my profile, probably. I guess it's twofold when people are searching for me. Like, I think because I'm established, most of my viewers kind of know where to go for either the live stuff or the YouTube stuff. It's only going to be probably that small trickle of new viewers and followers and what have you that I want to then direct out to other stuff, unless I'm doing a big campaign to push, you know, growing a TikTok or Instagram or something. So I think the biggest kind of discoverability for me would be like, I want brands to instantly find all the relevant data as easily and as quickly as possible. So any way of doing that and also having those options to customize what is presented, or if it is able to turn into some kind of like fully auto-generated thing using the data that I've connected accounts up to, that would probably be my biggest thing that I'd like to see, that just takes away that whole pressure of being like, I need a media kit. Because I don't know about you guys, but whenever I see the conversation on like Twitter or something, someone talking about like media kits, and they've posted theirs, and I look at it and it's this really nice, beautifully crafted thing. They've obviously spent ages on it, and I'm just like, oh, I want to redo mine now because it's shit. I mean, it's not, but like compared to what they've just produced, I'm just like, oh, that looks so good. It's so concise. It's got all their brand deals on it, campaigns, current sponsors, and and then and sometimes I'll catch up with them and I'll see like, oh god, yeah, they've just done like 5 or 6 more sponsorships. So clearly, what they are presenting as their business profile, as their business CV, is working really well for them. On top of obviously their content speaking for themselves. I mean, I've been lucky enough that over the years I've had several brands and stuff say, look, we were really impressed by your content on this X, Y, and Z or what have you, or we just really like your personality and how you came across and how you presented yourself. So that's kind of me selling myself as me without the data, but it's so important to be able to use that data, and I think it's just a lot of creators sometimes, like, they know the data is important, but they don't know where to start with it. What are the key bits to really show? And I guess probably, if you are able to do something with linking brands in as well, it'd be a way of saying to brands and saying, what are the key metrics that are important to you? Maybe it would be a case of, would we create tags that could link into some of that data that would show you, we're specifically looking for high concurrence on a certain, on strategy, high concurrent strategy or whatever, and it would filter this section of people or what have you. I think there's ways that you can, 100% utilize it for creators, but also I think there's still options as well to kind of use it to go to brands as well and say, look, what data can we help you access, get you to that destination with no journey time? Like, how can we get you there as well? Get everyone connected as easily as possible.
Can we see your media kit? I want to see your media kit now.
Oh,
I want to see what you've got. I want to see the
no.
media kit, and I want to see what kind of data you have. Because the media kits is a big thing that I have been like quite vocal on with the DORAS team. Toby, I think we will agree. I've been like sharing, like, so I sent over. Do you remember Havoc used to do his like media kit posts that he'd make on Twitter? And I had the exact same feeling as you, because I started making a media kit in like 2021. The version 2 stuff is like so much nicer because this is the scraping version. But even so, just having that for me has been like, this will work for right now. And then, Christ, I went into my Photoshop files of what my media kit that I was creating. I was like, oh god, this is so out of date, and it looks so like, I need to just remake this. Another thing about media kits is I think every creator does them slightly differently.
Literally, our plan for that is, as you literally just said, Midge, that like some people like to show X stat, some people like to show Y stat. We're literally trying to pull absolutely every single thing we can. And then you literally just have little check boxes. Do you want to show this, not show this? Which parts of this do you want to show? That's literally how we're building it and going from the ground up. Now, I can actually join in on the hating on Twitch because their API is terrible. Their API gives you absolutely nothing, and you need to basically do all these calculations ourselves, and it's been a big pain. YouTube is a lot easier. That's an example there of the Podbean.
I noticed there was a sneaky thing of upload podcast in there. I wonder whose Podbean you grabbed that from. Yeah, but that's the thing. I also want to see Lionhearts MediaKit. I'm going to just open that for myself at another tab.
The thing with this, as I'll go, is like, it was like everything in my brain that I think is important was just like, blah, throw it up onto it. So that's why if I looked at it again, I'm like, there's so much text, there's so much unnecessary stuff. But it's interesting because when I've had stuff before, outreach from like brand stuff, they're like, oh yeah, we just want key stats. Or sometimes we're like, we want the whole, they almost want like, we want you to do our job right now of our outreach for us. In the past, I'd be typing out loads and I was like, why am I spending an hour doing somebody else's job here? So that was why I was like, I'll just put it all in one document. Then if they want the full story, they can. But also on the slides, hopefully they can see the key stats that they always ask for: geography, demographics, and they can click through and ignore the slides that they don't feel are relevant. And then also there's a big old slide, which is just literally all the logos of everyone I worked with like last year, pretty much, to kind of celebrate the fact that, had quite a lot of like brand deals and stuff go on. But also I think that's always like a good way of saying like, hey, look, these brands took me seriously or wanted to do partnerships and stuff. Do you want your logo sat here on 2024?
One of the things that I think as a feature on the media kit that I'd really like, and I think I've also mentioned this before, but I think this is an element that other media kit, like some things provide media kits. Like I know that places like Lurkit have one, but it is missing a lot of features. Like and like you've got some great things in here with like the stats. Being able to have these auto-update would be a hell of a thing. But the other thing I would really like of, if you've completed a campaign for someone, especially if you got that like search function we were talking about where people can come to you, I would love verified testimonials from brands that you could highlight. I'd love the ability for just a thing where it just goes, I'm going to use me. I'm Alex. I was on Hearts of Iron. I worked with this creator on this project. I've given them a rate and this is our thing.
Brand or like industry verification.
Yeah.
Almost like check a trade of
But that's so huge.
verified creators that complete campaigns or have done good work. If you had some kind of verification method, or not necessarily like a database of it, but if you had some kind of backing to say, look, this is DORAS verified brand partner or whatever, that they've done good work, they've completed it, and everyone on both sides was happy. It'd be nice if you could have that feedback. That just adds to when brands are looking for stuff. Those are little extras that they're not going to find out unless they've worked with you before. That's going to make you stand out against 4 or 5 other creators doing exactly the same thing with similar stats. Ultimately, they're going to be potentially just going, I'll pick that one. Because if you're all roughly hitting the same metrics, all hitting the same stats, if there's no other specifics or anything like that or demographics to hit, then largely, I mean, maybe they don't have a specific random process, but largely it is just, that one. But if you then had a tag that, or a couple of bits that go, they were really efficient, they produced some really cool content, or just they provided feedback on the campaign, because I've done that a few times. I've said, actually, I'm happy to do this and this, but would this work better? I think any way that you can show your ability to negotiate and say, look, yeah, I'm not saying I won't do that bit of content, but let me create that in a method, in a process that means that you get a really organic bit of content from me. Because some people instantly think, oh, Twitch stream, it's going to be like a lazy edit or whatever. And I'm like, no, I'm going to get it down to the highlights and the best bits, and it's going to be in a way that still for me feels very natural and relaxed, because I think that's the most important way of presenting yourself when you're creating your content. You don't want it to feel all stuffy, and
you don't want it to not be of your style.
Yeah, you want it to be you.
I think as well, just for the industry, I think it'd be such a good idea, even if they don't write like an actual, this person did this, just the fact that an industry partner could come in and go, I verified that they did this. To actually have the verification tick mark of this deal definitely happened as well is one thing, but also just on your own media kit, the ability to say, highlight, these are the types of content I do, having content tag types of what you do. Because I've had offers where someone's like, I want you to make an IRL short. It's like, I don't really do those. I mean, I do a little bit now, but it was before. It's like, we want you to do sketch comedy in a short. It's like, you have not watched my content.
It's not me, Chief.
I had one where they wanted me to do an IRL stream around a convention for the whole day. And I was like, are you providing like one of these backpacks with all the stuff? Because I was like, I've got a phone, like, and I'm going to need battery. I'm going to have to buy a fair amount of gear. I'm going to need the SIM plan or whatever and everything else and the sound stuff. And they were like, oh no, we just assumed you'd have it. And I was like, what gave you that assumption? Like, and they were like, well, you make content. And I was like, obviously I didn't take that deal. And they were like, we just wanted eyes on the convention as a whole. I think it was like, broadly, it was a publisher of like a publisher behind the event that wanted some more stuff of like, this is the type of events we do, like really broad, really broad. And I was like, okay, so you just want someone to go. And I was like, are you paying for the event? Are you paying for my accommodation? And they were like, oh, right, we just thought you might go because we offered it to you. And I was like, no, like in the nicest way possible. Unless I've already said I'm already going to this thing, it would have to be a good offer and a good deal, because if I'm going to this thing just as a personal thing, you've got to then convince me that I want to then work at this thing. And if I am going there for work, I've got to try and fit it in around whatever else I'm doing. I think whatever tool if there is a way of incorporating stuff, there should also be a tool of creators also verifying brands the other way. Oh,
absolutely. Yeah.
Because as you say, there's so many times where you just get the mass 1,000 emails sent out to random mailing lists, say a lifestyle brand, and you're like, oh yes, lifestyle stuff, that'll totally fit with Total War. They want me to check out this new running cup.
The bathroom tiles, huh?
Oh no, that was something I shared it with Havoc, and I didn't think I ever mentioned it on the podcast. After that podcast episode, I got an email from a sponsor about interior design. Like interior design and paintbrushes, trying to get me to push paintbrushes. I was like, did they listen? Did they listen and go, this is a meta joke, or is this just happenstance?
Let's just get in on it.
Oh, dear.
Next Upload podcast coming to you by Paintbrush R Us, right?
But wit.
Yeah. To be fair, actually, I I would take that sponsorship for Wix because I've so much of my office conversion right now is the local 10-minute drive to my Wix, local Wix.
Should write to him.
Yeah,
Wix.
like please give me a trade card at least, you tight bastards, please.
Sorry, yeah, like just to throw this back over to you because we've been now rattling on about things we'd like to see in MediaKit. Has any of this been inspiring to you? Just to loop back to the questions, like we're obviously talking a lot about, what we'd want from that. But is there any things that you're like instantly going, this is a cool idea, or has this inspired anything for you? And like that you would say,
I do really like the idea of the whole verification of that. Like, let's say, for example, you could put on your media kit, it's like just a list of name of companies that, let's say, you worked for. If they also then had a DORAS profile, they could be able to go on and verify that, right? The one big problem I see with that in, let's say, the current state of DORAS is that it's kind of a chicken and egg situation. It's like, which one should kind of come first? Should we kind of wait for brands to be actually on the platform first to be able to kind of start the process? Or do we get this going and then eventually when brands come on, they can go through X amount of profiles and go just mass verifying stuff? So logistically, it's definitely an interesting way to go about it, but I would love to see it. Once we start getting brands, I especially want to hear from them and see what they feel that they're missing. It's like, what can we do then to make all this easier, and how can we just combine these two different people, being the brands, companies, whatever, and the creators? What can we do to, help bring you guys more together? How can we make it easier? The searching stuff, man, yeah, I really want that in right now. I want to build it today, because just imagine in your media kit, they don't even necessarily even have to be like visible, but you could just put in X amount of tags, strategy, I do IRL, I do, you know what I mean? And we can also incorporate like your like most popular categories on Twitch or games on YouTube. We could incorporate all that in and have it included in the search. Now, if that search would be open and readily available to everybody for free on DORAS, I don't know. That's a lot of data to be requested, and that's going to cost a lot of server power. It might be a specific thing. We are going to be rolling out a specific DORAS Pro for brands, and it'll probably most likely just be included with that. Just because, the power that thing's going to need is probably going to be a lot. It definitely really has inspired, and I love just hearing what people think could make it better, because it just makes me sit back and like, as you're literally talking and as you're spewing these ideas to me, my brain is literally already like making the lines of connections, and it's just like, okay, we could do that with this, that, and this, and then just do it like that, and I'm already like building the UI in my head.
I think it's really cool. Like one of the things, like I think a simple way to do it, like before, like it, I feel like there's like a twofold thing, like you say, is the before you get brands and the after you get brands. Like for example, if it was like testimonials and the verification on testimonials, just like a verified. It's I'm going back to acting knowledge. There is an acting website called Mandy, which is like it's like a directory for actors and stuff. And if you get a job from there, you can send whoever the director or the producer, I think, whatever the project was, you can send them a link and they can verify that the project actually happened. And it's just a simple thing. They don't need an account. They just go in and say, this has been verified by me, like sort of thing. And it just like put, and they allows them to enter their name, sort of thing. So just like that as a simple like rectification, like as a start, I think would be a great thing. But yeah, I think that's the beauty of creating something for like creators, though. It's like one of those things of once a creator gets their idea going, that surely must create ideas like for you. And I'm gonna go to, just because we're getting close to the time here, I want to just go through a final couple of rapid fire questions before we say goodbye, which is like, one, who would be your dream collaboration? Who would you love to see open a DORAS? Like what channel? You don't have to pander to Lionheart and tell him to get his DORAS up and going. Like that's fine. Who would you?
I'm definitely. It's at the top of my to-do list.
Lion, do you want me to make it for you?
Yes, please.
Okay, no worries.
Because I know you'll make it look really nice as well.
That's fine. I will help you make your DORAS. Yeah, Tommy, who would be your deep dream collab?
It's really so hard to say because every time I look at our list of users and it's just growing every day, and I just keep seeing people, I'm just like, okay, we've peaked. And then like 2 days later, it's like, no, okay, we've peaked. When I saw you sign up, and then we saw people big in like the OBS community, like Exceldro, Silverlink, these like people who are like industry known for OBS stuff. Now, I know I'm technically a Microsoft employee, but I haven't talked about this in work, but there is a Microsoft DORAS. Now, it's specifically for one specific category of Microsoft. It's like their expert zone learning thing for like onboarding US employees. I didn't tell them about it. Like, I have no line of connection to actual other Microsoft employees. Someone just found it and was like, yeah. There's even right now, it's really cool. So you know the way all Microsoft short links are like aka.ms/whatever? Well, it's any Microsoft link, short link anyway, is like that. There's one, and if you go to it, it redirects to the DORAS profile. And to me, that was like my peak.
It's amazing.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
In terms of anybody else, I think the next peak would be getting a brand on board. Like getting like a, not like a big brand compared to like what we have now or whatever like that, but let's say like a well-known established in like the content creator space anyway.
Are there any trends or anything that's happening like online right now that you're excited about, and like any developments? It doesn't have to be tied to DORAS. There's just anything that right now that you've been watching and going, oh, that's really cool, I want to see where this goes, like that kind of thing.
Something I do really like is that a lot of people are stepping away from a lot of these companies, like the Adobes of the world. And let's say with like the whole stuff with like Unity like last year and everyone moving over to Godot and just all these different things. I'm a big believer in open source and just readily available tools for people. And yeah, I just love seeing that. And I want to help out more in that space as well, while the code for DORAS isn't open source because we have to protect ourselves from competition or whatever. At the same time, a lot of stuff that does go on is open source and people can look at the code. And for me, I think it's really important, as everybody kind of got so used to just not understanding how things work and just downloading this thing, paying the subscription and just using it. Whereas now a lot of stuff is going open source. You found a bug, people are jumping onto GitHub and fixing things. Like people who've never fixed anything before. People are just looking at stuff and using AI to understand. And I just think it's really cool. It reminds me of my childhood when I was like 5 years old and I built my first website where I had a goal. I figured out how to do it and I did it. And I just love seeing that come back compared to the likes of just like just using all the same stuff, and then all these companies, as the term inshitification ensues and continues. But the more little things instead of few big things, the better.
Lion, do you have any final questions for Tommy?
I'm trying to make it a thing now when we have a guest on. How many monitors do you have in your setup?
For fuck's sake.
So this is my Mac setup right now. So I use my Mac screen. I have my main screen here, and I have one at the side. And then behind me, I have one on top and then one there. So 1, 2, 3, 5, if you include the Mac.
I got so much for my monitor setup when we did that episode, honestly. I've just as an update on monitor setup, everybody, I've actually
because you had it in the jankiest way possible.
They're still jank, but but two of them are
they're all different brands.
Yes, they still are all different
and
brands,
different refresh rates and stuff, and like
don't
why
talk about my baby like that. But the two side monitors are now on arms rather than just resting on the tabletop. So there's been a little bit of a monitor refresh update, but no, there is still one Dell, one AOC, one Acer, and one Iama, and it's like 120 hertz curve, 60 hertz, 60 hertz, and 59 hertz. I think.
You got to do things in pairs. Like if you've got a 3 setup, you can have a different one in the middle and two of the same on the sides. But
Hey, if anyone wants to
dude.
sponsor me,
Yes,
maybe
please.
when I get my proper media kit through Doras, maybe I'll
Yes.
I'll try and reach out
Monitor
to some
sponsorship.
monitor sponsorship on that. Would be good.
Oh
But
my days!
Anyway,
Let's get a monitor as as a brand on Doras. There you go.
yeah, there we go. I think that's a great place to round it out. Also, a lovely message at the end about just it's nice to see that the internet as a whole is becoming this thing of people are just kind of creating for themselves in both but like in a development side of things, and
the openness to collaborate as well.
yeah, it's kind of opening up more. And I think anyway, that's all we've got time for here on Upload. Remember to, if you want to get into contact with the show, if you want to talk about anything that you've seen, also definitely leave some comments down below if you're on the YouTube variant or any variant that has this. If you have questions or ideas about Doras as well, we'll try to get those over to the Doras team. And I'm sure that they'll definitely interact. Tommy, I see you in the comment section anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, you can also get in contact with the podcast at hello@uploadpodcast.co.uk. That's it for this week. Tommy, thank you so much for coming on, and we'll see you next time we upload.
You and your now absolutely full Twitch title of sponsorship stuff sometimes, but like Holy, for example, the fact that it's been integrated into the Hot Wings challenge that you do.
Oh yeah, that's worked out pretty well actually.
They know that people are going to want that content because people constantly come to your streams and ask about the hot sauces. Like, when's the next hot sauce challenge? It is a landmark event for you. Like, the brand Holy know that, okay, when he does another one of those, we're going to get some conversions because it's tied to purchase orders. If you've got ways to convert that, like, that would not work on your YouTube videos.